Welcome back to the Centimeter Perfect podcast, just the tips edition here on YouTube. That is Jesse. I am Liam, and we are here head to head in a battle of tipping using the confidence points system. Jesse, how did you feel about last week's tips?
Didn't happen. What's happening this week? Who's playing on Thursday night?
It was a rough one for Jesse. We'll talk about that in just a second. Otherwise, you can catch our main podcast and everything else at CMPerfect_AFL on Insta, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you like your podcast. Actually, that's not true. Just those three places. And of course, here on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. And leave your tips down below. Who do you think is going to win? And how many confidence points are you putting on each player? Jesse, what are confidence points? Tell the lovely people at home.
I hope they're not putting any confidence points on a player, Liam. Confidence points are a measure of deciding how to rank our tips during a round. So the team that we are least confident in securing victory in a round will be assigned 1 confidence point. This week with 8 games, the team we are most confident in winning will be assigned 8 points. The rest fill in the blanks as you do. The end of the season will crown a confidence points champion based on the total amount of confidence points, not necessarily the total amount of correct tips.
That is correct. Now, last week was a very good one for me, and you'll learn on this podcast and this YouTube channel, I should say, very quickly that Jesse is a smart kid. He knows his footy. He uses analysis. He uses injuries and all that kind of stuff. I go on vibes, and vibes worked very well for me last week. I tipped Essendon over Port, which got me a very handy lead. Jesse, the scores at the moment. Ka-chow. I added 33 points to my total last week, taking me to 86. You added 26. Taking you to 84. You were up 5 last week. You're now down by 2. How does that feel?
Oh, well, it's all right, Liam, because that round was in March, and you strike me as a March premier. So I think this is really the peak of your confidence points tipping this season.
Fair shout, fair shout. Well, let's not waste any more time. We've got 8 games to get through. Let's start from the top, shall we?
Thursday night footy takes place at the MCG with a battle of 2 traditional powerhouses. Collingwood hosting Carlton. Both sides must win this game for different reasons, especially the latter. Now, in a very rare occasion, I did not get the most amount of confidence points last week, so I get to choose what we're doing. I'm just going to go first because it's before the bye and it doesn't really matter. I'm tipping Collingwood here. I'm tipping them with 5 confidence points. I do get the sense this game is going to be close. Carlton haven't really been blown out yet this season, which is worth remembering. But Port equally have looked pretty good, I think, this season, apart from that very weird opening round game against the Giants. Did I say Port?
You did, yeah.
I was thinking about their win against Port. And they're both prison bar teams, so we're just going to go with it.
That's fair.
They dominated Port, not themselves. Otherwise, I would have said Collingwood there. And I think they're back on the right track. So Collingwood for me with 5. I think they're really well placed here to get the job done. Carlton, the Vultures are already circling. I'm terrified for Michael Voss for what happens if they lose this game.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they're going to lose this game as well. I also have Collingwood with 5. I don't know if the Blues are going to have much love for a little while. And it's not even because they're a bad team. It's just something about this year that's just not working. And that first loss to the Tigers, I think, really going to set them up for this start of the season, and not in a good way. So Magpies to continue their winning run for me. Jesse, let's move on to the next game.
Next up is Friday Night Footy, my weekly installment of Why Is This Game a Blockbuster? Geelong versus Melbourne. It is at Goomba, which is nice. Yep. I'm a fan of that. Always like seeing Geelong getting primetime slots in their home ground. I just wish they picked a better opponent. Liam, you're up first here. Who are you tipping to take out this Friday night mockbuster?
It's funny. You look at the form there. 1 win for the Cats, nothing for the Demons. You'd think on that alone, if you took a snapshot of that, you'd be like, well, this could be an even game. I don't think so. I think it's going to be an absolute shellacking. Cats with 6 for me, Jesse. I don't think there's much more to say about it. I would be very surprised if the Demons chose this game of all games to turn it around. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Geelong with 6 for me as well. I really think that if Melbourne do beat Geelong here, the Cats have some serious issues. Melbourne are woefully out of form. They have to go to GMHBA, which is a tough place to go at the best of times. I don't think it's going to be quite the 2011 scale, but I really think this could be a belting and a demonstrable flogging by an angry Geelong that was kept at arm's length by St Kilda and then struggled in wet conditions against Brisbane in a close game. I think they're going to want to exact some revenge.
Yeah. go and kick 230 again. You cowards. Let's move on to the next game of the round. What happens to be, potentially, Jesse, the blockbuster of the round. Who thought we would say this?
Saturday morning football for us Western Australians at the People First Stadium. Adelaide get the privilege of going through Coolangatta Airport. It is Gold Coast taking on the Crows. Both sides flying in form at the moment. No losses yet between their sides. Well, we have a draw. There still won't be one. I'm up first here. We're with Adelaide. Going Adelaide with 3. This is a high. You've got them. We've tipped the exact same. I can tell by your reaction because you're the worst poker player ever.
Yeah.
That we've gone the exact same in the first 3 games. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if Gold Coast won this game. I'll make that point clear. I thought you were going to tip Gold Coast, which is why I was happy to go with the 3. But I do think the Crows are just playing a brand of football that not many can. And I think I look at Gold Coast and look at Adelaide. They're playing in a very similar style. I just think Adelaide's is maybe a step or 2 more refined. And I'm willing to back them in. I like what I've seen. They've consistently scored high volumes, and I think their net opposition has been slightly harder than Gold Coast so far. I mean, you look at Gold Coast, they've hammered West Coast, who haven't won a game, and hammered Melbourne, who haven't won a game. Now, Adelaide have beaten Essendon, who have won a game, but are also not particularly exciting. They beat St Kilda, who have won 2 games of football. Look at them go, that's not bad. And they beat North, who have won a game of football themselves, having beaten Melbourne by 10 goals. So I think you look at Adelaide, I think, yeah, they haven't beaten world beaters, but they've beaten better sides than the Suns have. And at this stage of the season, I do think the Crows can get the job done here.
Yes. Now, don't forget, Jesse, last week I had laughed when you tipped Port with 8, and I went Essendon with 1. So what makes you think that I laughed because we tipped the same thing this time?
Because you're a cackling buffoon.
I am a cackling buffoon. And yes, I have tipped Adelaide with 3. It's funny how last week we were just all over the place. The tips couldn't be any more different. And this week so far we have started off exactly the same.
I think there's a real danger we could do the first 4 in the same as well.
There is a very good chance. There is a very good chance. But that's okay. This is the thing about confidence points. Sometimes it'll be crazy. Sometimes it'll be quite, reserved and refined. That's okay. That's fine. But I'm kind of in the same mind. I think Crows are looking a lot better than the Suns overall, even though the Suns are looking very good. If the Suns can get up here, I'm going to be taking a lot more notice, I think. A lot more notice moving forward. I think it's going to be a cracker. I'm going to watch it if I have the capacity for sure. But Crows to me with 3. Jesse, let's move on to the next game.
The MCG hosts action on Saturday afternoon. Richmond invite Brisbane back to the ground that they had such September festivities with last season. You're up first here, Liam. Are you going with a monolithic upset by the Tigers?
No. That's not much more to say. No. Brisbane with 7. Brisbane with 7 for me. I think that there's not much really to say with this one. I think Tigers have another chance to get some more games under their belt for the young fellas, and against good opposition. It's only going to serve them well, but they are not going to win. Jesse.
Brisbane with 7.
Yep.
What I will say is, though, the only reason I didn't get 8 is I remember Richmond beating Sydney at this point in the season last year at the MCG.
True.
That's probably, and the fact that West Coast is not very good, unfortunately. I just get the sense that this should be fairly pedestrian for Brisbane, but anything can happen. And to be honest, the Lions have had a pretty disrupted start to the season too for reasons outside of their control. Could they get a bit of fatigue creeping in? We don't know. What we do know, Liam, is that Sunday morning we have our first game of our Sunday binge session of football at NG Stadium in Western Sydney with the Giants hosting the West. No, we don't. I've skipped a game. Sorry, North. So I'm so sorry, but I don't want to watch this game, so I skipped it.
Well,
sorry.
Let's not dwell on it too much. If you don't want to watch it, let's get through our tips for it then, hey?
No, I will watch this. I jest. I jest to our 1996 grand final rematch sides. North Melbourne hosting Sydney at Marvel Stadium. No grand final venue for this grand final rematch. You get moved to off-Broadway. So sorry. I'm up first here. North with 2.
Oh, shit.
I like what I'm seeing with North. I like what I'm seeing with North, and I dislike what I've seen from Sydney so far in season 2025. Sydney were beaten in a game they really shouldn't have lost against Hawthorn.
Mm.
They had every opportunity with Brisbane under the circumstances to beat them and lost, and were dragged into a scrappy quagmire against Fremantle and barely won that game. That's a problem for me. And right now, with Sydney, though, both sides have the same win-loss record, but I've been more impressed by North. Now, that's probably in part due to lower expectations, but I get the sense that North are ready to be beating sides that are on the cusp of making finals, if that.
No, I like that tip, Jesse. I really do. And I wouldn't hate to see that happen. I've gone Sydney with 4. I think the bye round that they've just had will give them a chance to kind of reset and reevaluate how they've started this year. I think it's come a very good time for them. And, they're going to be wanting to reestablish themselves as a contender for this year. And this is the game they've got to do it. If they don't get up on this one, then, I'm going to start calling danger for the Swans. But Swans with 4 for me. Jesse, let's move on.
Just another manic Sunday. Giants hosting West Coast at NG Stadium. You're up first here, Liam. How many goals is Jack Williams going to kick to power the Eagles to victory on Sunday morning football?
He's going to have a game for the age. He's going to kick 74 goals and the Eagles are going to win. Giants with 8. I don't think I need to say much more. Jesse?
Giants with 8.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think there's no analysis required. Let's move on to the next one. Here we go.
Sunday afternoon football from the Adelaide Oval sees Port Adelaide hosting St Kilda. Must-win game, I think, for both sides for various reasons. I'm up first here, and this comes with a warning. And it was the same warning I gave to Justin Lemuel last week. Ken, do not stuff me on this. Port with 1.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel as though there's something with them at Adelaide Oval. They have a competitive advantage there. And the last time St Kilda were in Adelaide, which was less than a month ago, they got absolutely spanked. Willing to give Port one more chance on the basis that game on Thursday night was so poor that is turnaroundable because they lost a game to a poor side with everyone playing badly. If they can get out of that rut and play better, I think they can get the 4 points here. Liam, what about you?
Port with 2 for me. I feel like Power are going to be like that Freo team a few years back who couldn't lose at home but couldn't win away. Also like the Suns from last year. They're a different team at Adelaide Oval, I feel. And while if the Saints can keep doing what they're doing, absolutely no shocker if they do get up here, which is obviously why our confidence is so low. But I think Port at home is going to be too strong for the Saints. Let's move on to the last game. Jesse.
Sunday afternoon football. Gee, where have I heard this before? In the West, Fremantle hosting the Western Bulldogs. Liam, you're up first here. Critical game for both sides.
It is. It is very critical. Now, I said last week if Freo didn't win, I'd never tip them again, but they won. But I'm trepidatious. I don't recall us having a good game against the Bulldogs for quite some time. I've been over to Melbourne a few times to watch footy, and we always seem to play the Bulldogs, and we always get pantsed. But that's in Melbourne. I haven't seen us. I can't remember the last time we played them here. Probably last year, but it was last year. Did we win? Cool. Freo with 1. I think if we can back up last week and play that kind of free-flowing footy again, hopefully we get the win. But I am not confident at all. Hence my 1. Jesse, you have 2 confidence points left. Where are they going?
No, I don't.
What have you got left? 4.
I have 4.
Jesus. 4. You have 4. Where are they going?
Dogs with 4.
Yeah.
The game plan didn't change on Sunday. The
Fair
result
enough.
did.
Yep.
This game plan's not going to beat good sides. The Dogs are a good side. I don't see them getting dragged into the quagmire of awful football that Sydney did. I don't know if it'll be on the same level as just a dominant display like Geelong who can just power out of it, Brock Lesnar MMA style.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're probably somewhere in between. I can see this being quite a depressing game of football as a Fremantle supporter, to be quite honest, because this strikes me as a game the Dogs can just get a lead early and keep the Dockers at arm's length for the majority of the game. I have concerns about the way Fremantle are being coached right now, and I have, honestly, a lot of respect for the way the Dogs are playing undermanned, but not underperforming. Dogs with 4 for me. I actually would be somewhat surprised if Fremantle won this game.
Yeah, I know. I kind of went with my heart on that one instead of my head, but that's okay. You get that sometimes when you're a fan of a team, and you wear those consequences when they come around. Jesse, that is it. That is Just the Tips for round 4. Send us home, please.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our Just the Tips edition of the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast, our YouTube exclusive show. Please like, share, subscribe, get the name around to all your friends in your networks. We'd love to have more of you come and join us for our weekly little snippet into what's coming ahead. Liking, sharing, subscribing, following us on Instagram, following us on preferred podcasting platforms. You guys all know what to do by now. You don't need a lecture from me at the end of each show, but you do need a lecture from me about the main show. Our podcast, I think, is very good. Come join us every week to discuss all the news and round recaps on the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast. Until then, enjoy your football weekend.
Bye, everybody.